everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Kat. Many people ask me what is consulting, which I addressed in another video. But another question they have is, so if I'm interested in consulting, what kind of interview style it is? I know it is quite different from other interviews, which are typically just behavioral questions, ask you, tell me a little bit about yourself. Within consulting, a very unique interview style is called case interview. So you will be given a case during interview after your behavioral questions. So the case will typically composed of 3 different parts. One is the prompt, which is the background of the case, so you can know about who is your client, what is their questions, and all the background information that you want to get as much as possible. Second part is the actual process of solving this case, right? So it can involve in the quantitative part of the problem, which you will be given a lot of numbers. Let's say if it is a profitability case, you need to calculate the revenue and the cost to in the end solve this case, or it involves qualitative part. That means you have to brainstorm, okay? So let's say you are given a problem and to increase the revenue of the company. So how are you going to increase the revenue of the company? So that you have to give different kind of ideas for the clients. And that will be the second part of the case, which is the actual process of solving the problem, which can take about 20 to 30 minutes long. And if the case is difficult and longer, it definitely can go up to 45 minutes. So after you solve the actual case, the third part is the summary or recommendation. So you will give recommendation to your clients and address to them what should be their next steps. So to help you better understand what is a case interview, today I invited one of my friends who are also interested in consulting, and we will do a case together. I will be the interviewer, he will be the interviewee. Before we start, please like and subscribe the video to support me so I can provide more content for your interests. Let's get started. Hey Yash, how's it going?
Hi, Catherine. It's good to be here today. It's been going well.
That's good, that's good. Are you ready for a case?
Yeah, let's dive in.
Awesome. So our client is the biggest bandage maker in the United States and wants to introduce a new product. The product is a large bandage named Ultimate Bandage, UB, that can be absorbed into the skin. This increases healing time but reduces scars. The CEO wants to analyze the market to decide whether or not they should introduce the product.
Okay, just to make sure I have the information correct, our client is the largest bandage maker in the United States, and he has a new product which is different than normal bandages since it can be absorbed into the skin. And the client wants to know, he wants us to analyze the market so that they can decide if they should introduce the product into the market or not. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so you have already given me how this bandage is different. It is it has a higher healing time, but it reduces scars, right?
Yes.
So apart from that, is there any other difference in, let's say, either in terms of its other effects or in terms of the material that is used, just to understand the product a little bit better?
Right. I mean, regarding to the size, as long as it's large bandage, it's pretty much the same. But our Ultimate Bandage is the first bandage that can be absorbed into the skin, as I said. But other than that, that's pretty much similar.
Got it. So it's the first such product that is going to be available. And is the product I don't know if there are any clinical trials for this type of product, but if there are, is it all ready? Is it all approved and ready to be launched?
Yeah, so this kind of material is typically considered safe, and for the regulatory approval, it's relatively highly likely. So,
got it. So, coming to the client himself or themselves, is there any specific goal? Like you said, analyze the markets. Are we looking for like an ideal target population or maybe a revenue?
Yeah, so we definitely want to capture as much as market share, but ultimately we do want to increase profitability.
And we are only looking at the United States because the client is the largest bandage maker in the US.
Yes.
Do you mind if I take a few moments to come up with a plan?
Sure.
Thank you.
Take your time.
Okay. To analyze this market opportunity and how to boost profitability, I want to look at three things. They are the total market opportunity, the specifics to the client in terms of his financial and logistical capabilities, and third, potential competitive response in the future. So for the first one, which is the market opportunity, I'm looking at a couple factors. Number one, we want to understand what is the total number of injuries that happen, which require a bandage to cover. So that will give me like the total size of this market. The second thing I want to see is who will be the ideal target segment who wants to basically reduce their scars. Like these could be, let's say, for any person, a scar on the face that they might be careful about, or it could be, let's say, like a female model or someone for whom it's a very important commodity, like a business commodity, bankable commodity, so they would want to reduce them. So who will be the target population? The third one will be there's of course a trade-off between the healing time and the reduction of scars. So I want to understand who will be willing to prioritize the scar part over the increased healing time. So that'll give me a good understanding of the total market. Then coming to the client, I want to focus on the finances and the logistics. Obviously, one of the goal is to boost profitability. So I want to understand in terms of profits, the revenues and cost. The revenues, I want to see how much extra revenue we can generate with the ultimate bandage. And there will be some sort of cannibalization from the existing normal bandage, which I'm calling just NB for convenience. So overall, does the revenue increase or decrease? And same for the cost. So that way I will have a good understanding of the change in the profitability or the profits of the client. And we want to make sure that it overall increases. For the logistical capabilities, I can look at the supply chain, how easy it is to leverage the same bandage capabilities for the new product for UB. Then I want to see what we can do to promote and promote this UB better in the market since it's a new product. And then for the last thing, which is a competitive response, how soon can other brands introduce a similar product? And second, will there be any potential improvements which can cut into our market share? Like let's say the increase in healing time is not so prominent for them. So how will that affect our market share? So overall, this will be a good way to understand the market opportunity and the profits. I think the first step is to look at the market size. So we can perhaps start there if it's okay.
Yeah, that sounds good. So who do you think is the target customer? I mean, you briefly mentioned a little bit about it, but
right. So
yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to break it down into two ways. So target population is someone uh, who who values their appearance and they do not want scars to be visible, but at the same time, the injuries are not so deep or significant that the healing time is very high. So like the it's minor injuries in some sense. Of course, I'm willing to adjust it. So for the first part, who care that the scars are visible and they don't like it, it could be women. A, it could be models or celebrity for whom appearance is important. Or C, it could be any other person, male, female, or otherwise, who cares about their appearance. Like say someone like me. So we can have those, and that would be the ideal target population.
Okay, sounds good. I actually have some information for you. So I will share
Okay.
my screen. Do you see my screen?
Yes, I do. I'm actually, yeah, I'm able to see it all. So
Okay, perfect.
What we have is a pie chart distribution, large bandage. Just to be clear, the large bandage is not the ultimate bandage. It's like a normal product,
So
exhibit one.
that's the market we're entering, because ultimate bandage is also part of the large bandages.
Got it. So it's actually a huge market. First of all, you at the bottom it says there are 1 billion such products taken every year. So it's clearly a huge market. Bulk of it is made up of construction workers, 60%, and the other major segment comes from athletes, which is 30%. And then we have office and others, which are smaller at 7 and 3%. A quick note, I think for the major segment, like 90%, which is construction workers and athletes, I think healing time is more important than appearance, especially for the construction worker. So I do not imagine that ultimate bandage will be very popular in construction workers. In athletes, I think it can go either way. Athletes really care about the healing time to get back into the training phase, but there might be some athletes who have endorsement deals, so they really care about the scars. So maybe some portion of the athletes, but again, it could be a very small portion. We might be able to get something in the others or in the office worker space. That's where I see most of the ultimate bandage users coming from.
That's actually a very good point. So actually, like, you're talking about what kind of features these two main groups are looking for, right? What would you do,
Yes.
to analyze this? Like, how would you approach this question?
I think we can do one of two things mainly. Number one, we could take a survey of the users and try to understand what is it that they value. Like I've mentioned, a target population is like there's always a trade-off in the healing time and the scars. So we could ask them what is it that they value more, and that will give us an understanding of their preferences. And if there are any, let's say this is in terms of the effects of the trade-off. Other thing is potentially a price. While of course the trade-off in healing and scars is more important. If there's a price difference, they will probably want to know that. Other thing is we could ask doctors or health or services providers to understand their perspective on who is more likely to accept this bandage. Because they are licensed, they would have a good understanding of that. So we could go ask patients, we can ask doctors.
These are good points. Actually, just like you said, we did a survey. So can you see the conclusion of our survey?
Exhibit 2? Yes. Okay, so it seems like we are focusing on the major two segments, construction workers and athletes. Rank 1 is most important and rank 5 is least important. Okay, so what I see is that we have looked into two factors, healing time and scars. We have not compared price, post care, and itching. So we would need to know, first of all, how does UB compare on price, post care, and itching. So before we go into those things, the thing is athletes really value a fast healing time. It is number one priority for them, and it makes sense. They want to get back to the training. So, and they also want less scars. So that is second priority for them. So I think exactly as I mentioned, there is a trade-off, but they do value the healing time. However, that means we can expect a minor portion of athletes who are willing to go for scars or who prioritize scars a lot. We can go for them. This is an average estimation. So if there's a small portion, we can perhaps convert them. So I'm just going to make a note, small portion of the athletes can be targeted. For construction workers, price is the most important part. So, and for them, again, they do not really care about the scars because it's the least priority. and healing time is somewhere in the middle. So I would say if UB can offer a price that is low and itching that is again low, because it's absorbed in the skin. I don't really know how it affects the itching, but with the price and itching, we can perhaps convert a huge portion of construction workers to switch to UB. But again, then the question becomes, if the cost of this product is higher, it will tear into our profits. So the next step will be to see what percentage of athletes and construction workers we can actually convert.
Okay. So actually, based on this survey, we estimated that 50% of athletes and 10% of the construction workers will switch to a new product priced at $1.20. What do you think, the market would respond to this product introduction?
Actually, an interesting point. 50% of the athletes is a large number. I was not expecting so much, but clearly they do value the scars as well. And for the construction workers, you said it's 10%. Okay, 10%. It's low naturally because price could be the factor. So the next question that I would like to ask is, what is the average price of a band-aid for the large band-aid? I think it could be less than $1, but just curious.
Sorry, can you rewind a little bit when I asked you, what do you think, the market would respond to this new product?
Right. So I would need to know the price of a normal band-aid before I can tell you how the market would respond. Like the way I see it is 50% of the athletes are adopting. So it's clearly
So
the target segment.
So average like a large bandage is $1.
Okay. Now that being said, the price of UB is higher. So what I'm seeing is in the market response, athletes will become the ideal patient population or the ideal segment we are targeting. And because athletes do not care about the price can be maybe even slightly higher to boost profits. And what I also see is that because it's a premium segment in some sense, there will be competitive response in the sense other players or other companies will be willing to launch similar types of products and try to cut into our market share. So that's how I see the market will be responding to this. So I'm focusing on all three, patients, client, and the competitive response.
Okay, so let's say our client's market share is currently 60%, and our competitor have the rest 40%, right? Will this information change any of your recommendations or potential market response?
So we have 60% of the market share. Should I assume that this 60% is actually, hold on, give me
bandage.
1 moment.
Yeah, it's all large bandage. There's no small ones.
Yes.
So
give
maybe
me 1 moment.
Sure.
So what I'm seeing that the client's market share before introduction of UB is 600 million bandages, and in terms of revenue, because it's $1, it will be 600 million. I am trying to see now what his potential new revenue will be. You mentioned that 50%.
Before we dive into the numbers, which we'll go into that. Now I just want to understand, what kind of things would you foresee that if we introduce this product, the market would happen, and maybe both internally as well as externally. Just give me a general idea. I don't need specific numbers.
Yeah. So from an internal perspective, what we will see is some of our own target population or target customers will be shifting from large bandage to ultimate bandage. That's one, and that will of course reduce our revenues as well as costs from the large bandage, but will increase them for the ultimate bandage. The other thing is on the external part, we might be getting some of the competitive share of the 40% from the other competition, because some of their athletes and construction workers who are using the competitor's product will be shifting to ours. So we can have basically some extra market share as a result of it. So that's
Good
what
point.
I
Good
think
point.
will happen.
So as you were just doing, let's just dive into a little bit numbers to give us a better idea, right? So as I
Right.
mentioned, the new price for the Ultimate Bandage is $1.20 per bandage.
Mhm.
And actually, because of more survey, we now estimate 80% of the total athletes and 10% of the total construction worker will switch to a new product. And as I said, the large bandage now priced at $1. So how much revenue will we be gained?
So it's 80% of athletes, not 50.
Yes. So, when we update our
Oh,
survey, that's why I don't want
oh,
you
we
to rush into
updated.
numbers.
Okay, we updated our survey. Okay. Um, so actually it begs the question, what was our distribution before? Like in the sense we want to look at, do we want to look at the overall size of the market changing, or do you want to specifically focus on the client's revenue?
It is the client's revenue, and what
Okay,
I've given you the
so
market is our, like the total and all the
it's the
number are.
total, yes.
Yes, and I said 80% of the total athletes and 10% of the total construction worker will switch the product.
So I'm going to assume that it's mainly 80% of the athletes. So athletes made up 30% previously, which is 300 million,
So
and 80%
let's
of that.
so let's say before we dive into numbers,
Uh-huh.
can you tell me how would you calculate how much more revenue will we gain?
Sure. So the first thing I'm trying to do is I'm going to get the total number of athletes and construction workers who will be using the upper bandage, the ultimate bandage. And the way to do that is to calculate their individual patient population sizes, and take the percentage share we can get. So that we'll do for athletes and construction workers. And then we will take the $1.20 price to get the new revenue, subtract
Okay.
the previous revenue from it to get the difference in revenue, or the increase in revenue. All right. So I'm calculating the patient population part first, which is the first step. So athletes previously made up 30%, which is 300 million, and we will get 80% of that market share. So that is 240 million athletes. For construction workers, they made 60%, which is 600 million, and we hope to get only 10% of it, which is 60 million. So the total bandage that we can hope to sell is 300 million. At, at a quick note, this is half of the previous market size, or the patient population size, because previously we had 60% of a billion, which is 600 million. Now the price is $1.20. So the new revenue is 300 million times 1.2, and it is 360 million US dollars, and uh, it is only 60% of the revenue we had previously. As I mentioned, our previous revenue was 600 million based on a 60% market share. So this is clearly significantly lower than that. Um, so
So
it,
we also assume
first thing it does.
right. So we also
Uh-huh.
assume for the rest of the total population who don't use Ultimate Bandage, we still keep 60% of our market share.
Okay, so that makes up 360 million total. And now you're telling me that out of the 1 million, we will remove the 360 million, and the others will be 1 billion minus 360 million. So we are looking at 640 million total others. And out of that, we have 60% as well. So
Before moving on, you sure it is 360 million?
sorry, it's 300. Sorry, my bad. 300. So it's 700. We have 60% of the 700 million, which is 420 million. So 300 from Ultimate Bandage, 420 from Large Bandage, and the and this patient, this total size of the market is of course bigger than what it was previously. To calculate the new revenue, I have to target both of these separately. So for the Ultimate Bandage, it is 300 million times $1.20, and that is 360 million in revenue. And for the other segment, it is 420 million times $1, which is 420 million. And the total revenue is 360 plus 420. So we are looking at 780 million more total. And the difference in revenue is 780 minus 600 or 180 million. I would say it is approximately 30%. Actually, it is exactly 30% more than uh, than the old revenue. So we have a 30% increase in our
Sounds good.
revenue. So yes, it seems like a great idea, but the client's goal is to actually focus on profitability and not just the increase in revenue. So I think that would be the next step to evaluate the cost and the profits. But
Sounds good.
otherwise, on terms of revenue, 30% boost with a new product seems great.
Great. Now I'm gonna just stop share since it's not more relevant.
Okay.
So yeah. So actually, we do have some information regarding to the costs. So the variable
Mhm.
costs for the regular bandage were $2 per box. Variable costs for Ultimate Bandage will have to be raised to $7 per box. Additionally, an investment of 50 million will have to be made to reorganize the production facilities. No other fixed costs before or after introduction of the Ultimate Bandage. For each box, there are 10 bandages for both regular and Ultimate Bandage.
So what I'm seeing is we have no fixed costs except the $50 million investment for Ultimate Bandage specifically, and uh, the the variable costs are $2 and $7 a box, and each box has 10 units either way. So seems like there's a very big jump in the variable cost per box because it's $2 and seven. I think that is almost a 250% jump. So something to note, and that will definitely tear into the profits. So what I
Yes,
can
let's
do
just
is
dive into the math and
yes,
calculate.
yes. So what I was going to do is I'm going to calculate the number of boxes for Ultimate Bandage and large boxes that we need, or like based on the demand that we have, and multiply them with the price of the box to get the total variable cost. So uh, for the boxes, we estimated 300 Ultimate Bandages, so 30 boxes, and 420 large bandages, so 42 boxes right now. And previously, it was only 60 large boxes. Um,
60.
and then we have it previously, before
Uh-huh.
the introduction of UB, we had a 60% market share,
Right.
600 million bandages. So 60 million, not
Yeah.
60. Everything is in million.
Okay, good.
Yes. Um, and then the price is $2 a box and $7 a box respectively. So previously, the total variable cost was 120 million, 60
Mhm.
million times $2. Right now, the variable cost for large bandage is 42 times 2, which is 84 million. And for the ultimate bandage, it is 30 million times 7, so 210 million. And the total of them will be 294 million. That is a significant jump from the 120 million previously. It's more than twice uh, the total cost. And not to mention that there'll be an additional $50 million, which is a one-time investment, but I will still include it for the first year. and that will make it 344 million. So yeah, actually it's almost 3 times. So so for the year one, um, the the profitability, the profits from so profits before the introduction of Ultimate Bandage was 600 million minus 120 million, and it was $480 million. So it was a great profit margin, uh, almost 80%. And currently the revenue is 780 and the cost is 344. So the total profit is 780 minus 344, and that is 350 plus 80, 430, 436. That is 436 million in our first year. But once we go on to the second year, we will have an extra $50 million in profit. So because of the one-time investment fee will not be there. So from year two onwards, assuming no change in the market share, the profits will be $486 million, which is actually very comparable to the profits we had before the introduction of large bandage. So based on this estimation, I would say there's no change in profits effectively. So the key thing is what can we get beyond the financial or profits benefit in the short term. So can we use this as an opportunity to further increase our market share in the future and take more from the competitor? Or we can actually try to price it slightly higher, because for athletes price was not an important factor, and upper Ultimate Bandage is only 20% more. So if let's say we increase the price slightly more, we can actually boost our profits, because Ultimate Bandage is extremely expensive in terms of variable cost. So perhaps we can recover some more of it from the athletes who actually don't mind paying as well.
Yeah, that's good.
So I
So,
think that is what we can do.
yeah, so let's say our clients come in and then we would like to give the clients a recommendation. What would you say to our clients? Should they launch the product?
Okay. Our recommendation is that the client launch Ultimate Bandage, number one, because it helps them meet their goal of increasing their market share from 60% to 72%. However, in terms of profit, they do not have the significant change in the profits. It will remain the same before and after. So what we recommend is that the client use this opportunity to do one of two things. A, either increase the price further because athletes are willing to pay more, and that will help him boost his profits. Or B, he can use this opportunity to further increase his market share in the future, and that's how he can improve his revenues and profitability as well. So in terms of risk, it is of course a possibility that the other major competitor will introduce a similar product, which may have a faster healing time. So the client should have a competitive response ready and perhaps even try to improve the product further. That would be my recommendation.
So that is the case. Hopefully you enjoyed us solving the case and watching it. And also you can always go back and skip my friend's interviewee parts. Just listen to my question and then try to solve it by yourself. That'll be a very good exercise. Let me know if you have any questions. Please just comment below. And thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.